Glad to have you join us back. If you're just tuning in, this is Business This Week, reaching you live from the network service of ITV. From Benin, we'll take you straight to our major discussion. The oil and gas industry may be faced with increasing volatility and uncertainty as it deals with geopolitical, economic, and environmental issues. And the industry's future may also be threatened by the introduction of new technologies and the increasing cost of oil production and the changing global climate. Joining us virtually from Lagos, Nigeria, is the CEO, Zico Stream Energy Limited, Engineer Adesanya Adekunle. Engineer Adekunle, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, we also have another expert who is actually joining us virtually too. He's an oil and gas expert. He's a person of Oluwaseun Oseni. He's the managing director of Glenstar North Holding Company, also from Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Oseni. All right, now you just help us now, Mr. Oseni. Looking at the oil and gas sector in the country, do we really have problems to start with?
Good afternoon once again, and thank you for having me on your platform. It's glad to see that we have issues that we shouldn't have. I think that's the best thing to start with. If we were to grade our oil and gas industry, I'm sure everybody will say we're not where we're supposed to be. For lack of using more progressive words, I would say there's still a lot of progress that could be made in our oil and gas sector. I think in answering your question, that's the first thing I would say. There's so much more we can do. There's so much progress and so much in the landscape that needs to be fixed. So I think I'll leave it at that.
Okay, let's quickly get to Engineer Adesanya. Engineer Adesanya, now help us through, looking at the sector so far, what are some of these problems and how can we overcome them as a nation?
Okay, thank you for having me on the program as well.
You're welcome.
I think it's, anyway, we have several problems in this industry called oil and gas. And there's no way we want to solve a problem without analyzing or without identifying the problems. One of the major problems in this sector is policy making, which cut across all sectors in the oil and gas sector. And apart from policy making, we have accountability. Do people account for things that happened in the country in this sector? Probably let me refer to an instance that happened, probably I think it was about a year ago or thereabout, when some bad product was brought into the country. Until today, as we're speaking, no one has been held to say, oh, this problem was caused by so company, so team, and being held responsible. And the third one is lawmaking. Lawmaking, which has to do with more of the regulatory and how do we comply to laws. You understand? So there are so many down the line. The industry is big, and I think the time we have on this program is too short for us to handle these problems. These problems are much, and it's cut across from the upstream to the midstream to the downstream. And there was this somebody I was discussing with some time ago, and we're actually looking at the past, where we used to be, the present, where we are right now, and the future. And we're like, are we going backward? Are we moving ahead? So when we go more into the program, definitely I will broad and explain better on these problems. There are several problems which the so-called the head house cannot be removed, which is the NPC.
Okay.
So it's like I said earlier, it's a big industry, and it's not something we can handle in one topic. Even handling subsidy alone on its own, while we have scarcity on the street in Nigeria, is a topic on its own that we can take like close to 1 hour, 2 hours to still get deliberating.
Okay.
But the big thing about the problem, which I really want to emphasize, is that which was your question to Mr. Shew.
Yeah.
And this problem is solved? Yes, it can be solved. And that's why we're here. We cannot handle a challenge. We cannot handle challenges without talking about the solution, without talking about the problem fixing. So, which I think is the major thing. The problem can be fixed.
Okay.
People, we have to all agree and say we want to fix this country.
All right. Let's quickly get to Olusegun Oseni now. If we go back to the past a little now, in the past, before the oil boom era, we used to have agriculture was the main thing. What agriculture used to be what we depend on as a nation. But fast-tracked to the present days, it seems oil doesn't even have any positive impact globally. As a nation, what should we do to boost our oil sector?
Okay, just to, I won't say correct, but I'll say shed more light on the positives of oil. Oil has been a blessing in Nigeria. Oil is still a blessing in Nigeria. We have grown in leaps and bounds due to our oil and gas sector. I think even around the world, we are known for the revenue that comes in from our oil and gas sector. Yes, it was a blessing and a curse, but we will call it a curse because we did not manage it well, which is still our problem until today. As somebody who is vested in the oil and gas industry, across the board, I see what happens with logistics, I see what happens in the trading sector, I see what happens even in the analytics sector, and even in the upstream side. I'll tell you one thing, the oil and gas industry works. If it didn't work, Nigeria will not be making a lot of money. Nigeria makes a killing of the money that comes in from the oil and gas industries, be it crude, be it refined products, even just the popularity that comes out of we being an oil and gas producing, a crude producing country. It has been all manners of good. However, just as Engineer Kunle said, the issue has been management. The issue is accountability. The issue is not having structures in place to commemorate the money coming from the industry and the developments happening around it. Now, that doesn't also take out of the fact that we focused a lot on oil and gas and let a lot of other industries bleed. But I'll also tell you as well that you see these industries that you think that are not working, they are working. Money is being made. Accountability is the issue. Money being brought in from this product, from this. There's so many other resources. You have platinum, we have gold, we have a very vast network of resources in Nigeria. But the only thing is, the one everybody's eyes on is oil and gas. Nigeria works. There's a lot of money coming into the country, but no accountability. My take on how things will change will be more of what is already going on. Now, I'm not going to say that there are no problems. I'm not going to say that we don't have a long way to go. But from what I've seen, privatization is the way forward. Now we have Dangote. When you know that you invest a certain amount of money into a project, you will know how to run it well. You will know how to make sure that you make your receivables from it. Dangote is not going to sit down with his refinery and wait for bureaucracy to take over. No, it's going to ensure that his output is 100%. It's going to make sure that his sales are 100%. When all this starts going on, let's look at the telecommunication industry. Before, the spike came during Obasanjo's time. And now the mobile phone is a thing that is here to stay and everybody is enjoying it. The only way we can definitely move forward in the oil and gas industry is by pulling out bureaucracy, is by reducing the bureaucratic system around it, You can't take oil and gas away from the government. So what we need to do is we need to find public-private partnerships that can help instill private ideals. That's my own take.
Okay.
In the ecosystem.
Okay.
If you get where I'm coming from.
All right, we'll get back to you in a moment. Let's quickly get across to Engineer Adesanya. Now, is privatization the way out? Is it the way forward? What now happens to our refineries that we have? What happens to them? Is privatization the way forward? Engineer Adesanya.
Okay, I will like to buttress on what Mr. Sheo said. It is the way forward, because when we look at it, how many years have we been managing? And then when we look at the cost intensive of what has gone into this, what we have invested into this refinery in the past, what has left the pockets of this country going into the refinery, and at the end of the day, probably at the end of the day, somebody will say, oh, the refinery is working at 15% efficiency. And what are we talking about? And let me just take it down the line. Everything still rises and falls on corruption. It's the corruption is the corrupt mind in the system. And thank God the NNPCL Limited is on, and then we at least within the last time and now, it's not just about changing the name. It's about having, let's look, okay, let me buttress and use an example. We know how Chevron is running. And we know that, this country has been running for how many years down the line? Because there is a structure. Because there is a standard. I'm not saying that NNPCL does not have standard. They have structure, they have standard. But is our people following? Are they taking to it? And the management, like, okay, fine. The management, what do I mean by the management? I will also cite an example during the time when the former chairman of the NNPC was Mr. Kachuku and all that. When it was brought into the NNPC system, I told myself this is the wrong, and I will tell you why I feel it's a wrong. The reason is because it takes somebody inside to fix the problem inside.
So you think Kachuku didn't perform? You think Kachuku didn't do well when he was in office?
I won't say he didn't do well, but to whom much is given, much more is expected. Yes. The leadership position in this country is not about, I'm not the person in power. It's about what have we okay, now when you want to talk to the layman on the outside, yes, some policies were made, like there was a policy that was made in 2017 which was talking about the hydrocarbon should be a sort of economic development and all that. You understand? But what am I trying to say in the real sense is that there is so many things that we're really expecting in the system, especially for we that we are experts in the industry.
Okay. Don't forget. Don't forget.
So I would really come back to your answer and say privatization is still really the way to go.
Okay.
When things are being made in the private way in this country, it's more under care, and just like you get to a ministry office and you will see everybody. Some people are even playing music, and while somebody is at work, that will not be done in the private sector.
Okay, let's come to.
So I really think that will be the way forward. And then, sorry, just give me 1 minute. Let me just expand and say this.
Okay.
We discovered on pipelines some couple of months ago that these pipelines, they were used to divert crude oil from the point A to point B. Nobody has been held accountable for all this. In the private sector, this will not happen. So I feel privatization will still be the way forward.
Okay. Now, let's not forget that in the previous administration, we had President Muhammadu Buhari as the coordinating minister. Ibe Kachuku was just there as probably the Minister of State. Could that be some of the limitation the previous administration had? That's on one hand, Mr. Hosseini. Then secondly, what are your expectations from this current administration?
Okay, so I have country works, the oil and gas industry works. And secondly, if you bring in a system where economics is the order, you'll be forced to scale up. Now, put President Muhammad Buhari, put Mr. Kachuku, or whoever you want to put, over a system that doesn't work, nothing will change. Now, I am a very big, I push privatization because when economics runs the scale, you have to make profit. For you to make profit, you have to chase your clients. For you to chase your clients, you have to meet their standards. For you to meet their standards, you have to better your processes. Can you see how it's a ripple effect? Now, with the bureaucratic system, with the government, and don't get me wrong, there are amazing people in the government, there are people who know what they're doing in the government, but the system is so far gone that where do you start teaching people what the structure is? Let's even talk about, we have an arm of NNPC that deals in vessels. As a vessel manager myself, I know how it is how proactivity is the number one thing when it comes to managing vessels. You have to service your engines at the right time. You have to ensure that your lube, everything is available. You have to do your maintenance. Your crew have to be fully certified. And these are things that have to be done on a continuous basis. Timeliness as well. You don't want to sit down with a system that has over 500 people in one parastatal, and they're all waiting for one person to sign, for the other person to sign, for the other person to sign. I promise you, in 1 year, that person will not move. Because the bureaucratic system is not in line with the way, the outputs that should be brought into it.
Okay.
However, if you have a system where, just as we have it with NNPC, there's no bureaucracy, this is a business. And with this business, we have to make sure that trading is on point. We have to make sure that we are delivering the right cargo and making money. Everybody will be forced to sit right.
Okay. Now,
as I said, just a recap. Yes.
No, go on. Summarize.
Yes, I said as a recap, or as a summary to what you asked. I believe no matter who you put on the system, where we are now, I won't call it rot. If you've noticed, I try to use the most positive statements for our lovely country, because if Nigeria is done right, this will be heaven on earth.
Okay.
You can see it even with the little that some young entrepreneurs, you can see when things are done right in Nigeria, it is so good.
Okay.
So things are working in Nigeria. Things can work in Nigeria. We've gotten ourselves into a situation that has been so backdated that the only way we can change it is a major overhaul. Now, can we overhaul the whole government? Not yet.
Okay, now talking
we
about...
have to look at ways of...
Now talking about... talking about major overhauling now, Engineer Desanya, you actually made mention of corruption in your submission. How do we tackle corruption? It seems to be a clog in the wheel of progress. The government is a key actor. There was a time we had series of information coming on board that there are people, even in government, that are actually part of the problem we are having, talking about oil theft. Until now, nobody is being prosecuted. Nobody has been brought to book. Do you think those in power are actually shielding these guys that are actually hitting our oil sector?
Yes. Okay. Let me say it this way. Yes. I will not use the word shielding, but maybe it's still going to be shielding by the time I give my explanation, because I will call it maybe padding, kind of. Maybe somebody is trying to, because you are this, and then you are the one managing it. But I think, yes, you said over, we cannot, there's a word that said that if we really want to change this thing, if we really want to change the scenario, it is still Nigeria that will change it. But how do we go about it when some people are really gotten into the system? They are really Okay, I will probably be citing more examples in my scenario so that you will understand. During the subsidy saga, so I think there was this issue of cabal, and there was this issue that
Engineer Adesanya, we'll quickly take a short break now. We'll come back to you. We need to take a short break now, and when we return, we'll take a completely part of your submission. Welcome back. This is Business This Week. Talking business, and of course, we're actually x-raying the impact of all the issues affecting our oil sector, where we have two gentlemen who are experts in this field, Engineer Adesanya Dekunle joining us virtually, and Oluwaseun Oseni also joining us virtually from Lagos, Nigeria. Before we went on that break, Engineer Adesanya, you were actually taking us through how to tackle corruption and how to conquer it and have a good, workable oil sector. Just quickly walk us through before we move ahead.
Yes, one of the things and one of the ways that I feel we can tackle corruption in this country at the moment, especially in the oil and gas sector, is everything, as in there must be accountability. And when there is accountability, definitely, and our law, we need to structure our laws such that, in such a way that when Mr. A knows that, the time that somebody did this, he was held responsible, and this was what happened to him after the whole scenario. So, and I think, that is the major way. And then ensuring that our policies are right. It's not like as if we are making a policy to suit Mr. A. So sometimes in our policies, there are policies that we make in this country that we have made in the past. Let me just say that way. So those policies have been made in the past. And those policies need some adjustments. Because sometimes those policies are some of the things that are holding us back. And it's giving some people that power or that strength to be able to do. So like as I was saying before we went on break, regarding I was trying to cite a scenario about what happened during the subsidy regime during I think that was about some couple of years back, when some people were meant, based on the subsidy, those that collected subsidy. Till today, money left from post A to post B. But the accountability is not there. Nobody is showing up, okay, this thing has went to. But the whole country is suffering for all our past. And then, yes, we will forge ahead, we'll move ahead. We are not saying we are not moving. Even if they can't arrest them, can we get some things tangible from past that these guys have? These are all the things that is telling on our efforts at the moment.
Okay.
Because the money that has left, it's no more in their account. It is the past, it is the ripple effect from what happened in the past that we are facing in the present. It's not that it doesn't show immediately. It will not surface immediately. Because it's just like putting a house on fire. The whole house will not burn.
Okay.
The whole house will not burn just immediately. Honestly.
Okay, Mr. Oseni.
But at least you over time you will get. So that's what we are saying right now. So I think accountability, strengthening our policies, making the right policies, and then ensuring that our laws, when somebody, this person commits this, this is what happens to him, definitely the corruption at least will be minimal compared to when somebody took money and then you're still seeing the person on the street. Then the person is encouraging the next person that you can also do it, so you go scot-free with it.
Okay. Mr. Oluwaseun, now are we not going to say that the government is not sincere with the people to an extent? Are we now going to say that the government is not sincere with the people?
So let me put it this way. I'll use a quick analogy. You put sugar on the floor. In a place where there are ants. You put the sugar there. No matter what you do, if you don't put a block If you don't put insecticide, ants will find their way to the sugar. Now, Nigeria's problems, or Nigeria is not today. The Nigeria we're seeing of today is a manifestation of the Nigeria that has gone through time. A lot of water has gone beneath the bridge. A lot of things have happened. In fact, the things that have happened have caused the society to evolve in a way that Nigeria is me and you, because a lot of things can't be gotten from our government. Now, let's bring this into the situation which we're talking about. Nigeria has not been sincere to us. It's a fact, because we don't have the structures to get information. We don't have the structures or the documentation to know the values. I'm sure I can even say, when it comes to something as little as census, we don't have the true picture of our census. Yes, we say we're trying to do it, but we don't have the true picture of how many people live in Nigeria. What am I saying? The structures that should be able to govern the country, the structures that should put people in place, the structures that should make the lines fall at the right places, that the law should be able to talk and people be scared. The people should know that I do this, there's a repercussion. If you don't have that, it's free for all.
Okay.
And you cannot really blame anybody.
Okay, let's get back to...
I'm not trying to say Nigeria...
Okay, go on.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to say Nigeria as a country has not failed in certain ways. But I think the failure has been majorly because we have not focused on building the structures that will put people in place.
Okay. All right, now moving.
Right. One person. Yes.
Okay, now moving forward, Engineer Desire, I would like you to help us. It seems we are going back and forth with the issue of subsidy removal. When the president actually came on board, he told us subsidy is gone, and in the twinkle of an eye, we saw how prices started jacking up in most of the fuel stations in the country, and it seems we are still going within this circle. There was a time information going up in some quarters that subsidy was actually paid for, but actually presidency actually came out to debunk it. So how do we now strike a balance? Is subsidy removal a welcome development? Is it something that can stand the test of time?
Okay, thank you for that question. That's a very good question. Thank you very much. Let me say it this way. I will try to... Subsidy is gone, and the president has said, let's adopt it. Let's believe, okay, this thing is gone. And then the way forward is, how do we ensure that what is the impact of removal of subsidy on private organizations, especially, organizations, companies in the downstream industry? Because presently, these are companies that were getting, because at the time the prices went up, people were thinking, this price is going up, it's going to affect just the masses. Yes, no. The organizations, the private sectors, the companies in the downstreams are really, really deeply affected as well, which I really want to tell you that the shipping industry really, really affected as well, as I'm talking to you. Now, your question is this the way forward? It is the way forward because of the corruption level in that subsidy regime. We have to let go of it. Because using documents to remove money from the boss of the country, this company, that company, company A, company B. But my big question is that these people that took all this subsidy then, and we still have them to come back to the table to tell us. Probably because some people still really need to come, and it's not about a thing of the past too. They need to bring it up. These are documentation that somebody has collected money and no country is suffering from it. Somebody is enjoying with his family what everybody is suffering from. So it is the way forward. There's no two way about it. We are going to face this phase for a time.
Okay, are you saying Nigerians? You are saying Niger? Are you saying Nigerians should be patient with the president or with this administration?
Yeah, it's going to be very tough. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but I will still tell every Nigerian that let's be patient. Let's allow this thing to go, because if we know the quantity of cargo that leaves this country, the cargoes are being subsidized, and then somebody will take it to somewhere else to sell.
Okay.
They are making a very big margin. These are the people that are really benefiting. We are talking here as an expert. We are not trying to cajole anybody. An expert. This is the real game. It's the real thing. It's not about maybe somebody is trying to probably support one government or not.
Okay.
No, it is the real thing that is happening.
Okay.
But the truth about it is that let Nigerians understand that even everywhere in the world now things are actually hard. And I think the price we are even buying is still considerate compared to what other African countries are buying.
Okay. Let's get to.
This is something that across. Sorry, this is something that cut across all sectors in this country.
Okay.
And all levels. Whether you are rich or you are poor or you are this or you are that or you are middle class, it cuts across everybody.
Okay.
Buying that rate.
Okay.
The only difference is that some people have had some stock of, and those are people we are talking about.
Okay, now talking about subsidy removal, Mr. Oluwaseun, help us as an expert. What are your expectations from the Minister of Petroleum? Quickly, before we move further.
In addition to everything that has been said, because that's the only way I can answer what I can give an opinion to the Minister of Petroleum, as you said. Subsidy, what we are seeing now is the true reflection of Nigeria. Everything we saw then were, when you're using sellotape to block cracks. This is the true reflection of our Naira. It's the true reflection of our oil and gas industry. It's the true reflection of everything that has been going on in the past. There's no way, and I think because my business is very, it's more in the private sector.
Okay.
Now, we have the private sector of the oil and gas industry. We have the government sector of the oil and gas industry. They all work together to create the oil and gas industry. But the private sector is what pushes growth. The government is there to regulate, is there to ensure that local content, is there to ensure the country makes money from their resources. However, the daily back and forth trade and production is in the private sector. Things will get worse because Nigeria is in a bad place. Just as you said, we focused all our energy on oil and gas. That's the only means, the major means of dollar, it's not even dollar, it's the major exports that we bring out of Nigeria. And all other things are imported. The deficit is always going to affect us because cost of freight, cost of bringing in products, cost of the legal cost, the statutory cost, they're all on our head. And you will pay for it. Nobody's going to pay for it because the people bringing it in are going to make profit. So let's not even talk about Nigeria as that. Let's talk about the oil and gas industry, which we're here to talk about. Products are definitely going to get higher.
Okay.
We have a country where we export crude and we import refined products.
Which is not healthy. Which is not healthy for the economy.
Money from it. No, everybody knows that. That's why we have Dangote. That's why everybody is shouting Dangote, our savior. But this could have been done since. How is it possible that 60 years later, just as my honorable said, our refineries are not working to capacity? How is that possible? Do you get? This is common sense that people who really want the country to move forward should know that, you know what. But let's just say that the bureaucratic system does not give you the chance to make changes. Because if you try, people with good hearts and good intentions are usually silenced. And that's because the system has created another system where people make money from the problems.
System inside system.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
Okay.
Sir?
You're talking about system inside system?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
System.
Yeah, yes. I'm saying, when I say systems, I'm saying people have created ways in which they can benefit from the problems we have.
Okay.
And anybody that tries to change those ways will be frowned upon. So that's why I'm also very big on the fact that the only way things can now change is what we're already doing right now.
Okay.
NNPC has become privatized. Government needs to use their hold on a lot of assets. Now, you can have your asset, but when you let things work freely and economics of scale takes effect, then look at Dangote. Are you telling me that even the layman on the street knows that things are going to change? Now, if it doesn't affect us, believe me, Dangote is going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
As an individual, and whoever invested in Dangote is going to make a lot of money.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Do you get where I'm coming from? So,
definitely.
I think the present administration is doing the right thing.
Okay.
We are just seeing the true reflection of the economy.
Okay.
And it's going to get worse. Because you say you want Naira to appreciate. Where is the value in Naira? Even in Nigeria, how many people want to hold Naira? Which country is collecting Naira? Now we're talking about the BRICS nations that want to trade in their currencies. Nigeria is too dependent on the Western world. We are too dependent on the dollar. Our Naira has no value. And if you say, okay, you want to devalue for economic purposes, you are devaluing the Naira, but you don't have any substance behind it because there's no economic back and forth. There's no import and export balance. And I'm not only talking about the oil and gas industry.
Okay, we'll be living.
Even the money we get from the oil and gas industry. Yes, sorry.
We need to try to put a stop now because we have like 5 minutes to leave the studio. So let's just try and see how we can manage our time. Yeah, I understand. Yes. It's a long conversation, and of course, we'll certainly need another time to come back and extend the front line of the discussion. Let's quickly get to Engineer Adesanya. The Middle East is strategically positioned as far as the oil sector is concerned. Looking at the Israel Hamas war, do you think it's going to have any impact in our oil sector globally?
Yeah, it's going to have an impact in the dollar, probably in the global market. But as far as Nigeria is concerned, I'm not sure it's going to have any impact because it's going to have little, but not deep, like a country whereby we're trading. Like maybe we have trading relationship where we have, or maybe a country that is buying our crude and all that. So we will not really have direct impact, but it's going to be more of probably on the international market, which is on the crude oil. Yeah, kind of, sort of. So
okay.
That's what I feel.
All right, let's take your take. Let's have your take, Mr. Hosseini. Then we'll call it a wrap. The Israel Hamas war. You think it's not going to have any impact on us?
Just as Engineer Kunle said, it would have an effect if we had some sort of trade in between both countries. If Israel was probably buying a lot of our crude, then definitely the unrest would destabilize the trading partnerships. From what I see, I think the only way Nigeria could be affected is if Nigeria takes a stand. Now, we know the Western world is fully behind Israel. And for a country that is very dependent on the Western world, you don't want to go against the Western world.
Okay.
So you probably will never hear Nigeria talking about this issue. We probably also see majorly religious institutions, Christians and the world that will probably be having, it will be majorly religious institutions that will have a say regarding it. But in terms of trade, we can only be affected if they buy our product. So I don't think I see I see how it's going to affect us.
Okay, we've been talking with the CEO, Zico Stream Limited, Engineer Adesanya Adekunle, all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, and of course, from the other side of Lagos too, we have Oluwaseun Oseini, the Managing Director of Glenstar North Holding Company. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for finding time to join us on the show. Despite the short notice, we sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming. This is how far we'll go on the program today. We'll be seeing you next week for a fresh edition, and we do hope you're going to have yourself a blessed weekend ahead. My name is Daniel Praise Osedebame. Bye for now.